Shalom Israel first. I'm going to give all praise and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash. I want to see Apostle Oscar Millstone. Peace citation to 1/3 of Israel. With this lesson, I want to title it, The Mindset's Going to Shift. All right, something like that. And basically, I came across this post that the brother reposted and, thought it would be a good lesson to do. But it says, how women flock to the top % of men while saying they would never share a man. All right, you got Chris Brown, and you got all these groupies, all right? And mind you, Chris Brown hasn't done shit for these women, all right? I'm pretty sure a majority of these women got husbands and dudes they dealing with, but yet they don't respect them, all right? Because ultimately, if you respected your man, you would not be coming here, trying to look your best, This shit through, bro. Right, I know, bros seen that one clip of that one married woman that kissed Chris Brown, and she said, "Oh, it wasn't really cheating," trying to justify herself and shit. It just goes to show you the mindset of these women and why you shouldn't take them serious, because ultimately you just putting your eggs in a basket with holes. That shit's gonna fail you. All right, because ultimately these women today aren't real women, especially these American women. These are gutter women. All right. Now, granted, you got your few that are, that try to do right, but for the most part, this society is through. All right. And what's the product of a fucked up society is, the women are fucked up. All right. I know there's a quote that says, it's like, if you want to know, if you want to tell the I guess you could say the status of a nation, look at their women, all right, and look at the Israelite woman, so-called Black, Latino, Native American woman, through, they're all out of order, it's a mess ultimately, all right, but the Lord, He's seen that, all right, and ultimately this it's really a punishment, for the Israelite men, because us, as the Lord's woman, His people, we transgressed against Him. We committed adultery against Him. So therefore, your woman, our women are a bunch of whores and harlots. All right, Amos 5:17. Let's get that, or 7:17. Amos 7:17. It says, "Therefore, thus saith the Lord. Thy wife shall be a harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by a line." And our land, Israel, is divided by a line. You got two heathens that are fighting over our land. When neither one of them belong there. It says, "And thy land shall be divided." Okay, and thou shalt die in a polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth to this land. All right, so this is ultimately a curse. All right, but that we in a time of the Lord turning back our captivity. All right. And one thing that's going to get these women in order is the upcoming judgment that's about to take place. All right. Because Isaiah 32 and 9 reads, complacent woman warned of disaster. All right. And ultimately what's coming down the pipe? Disaster. Jacob's trouble, time like never before. All hell about to break loose. And what do you think, how you think these women going to be feeling? They ain't going to be in the spirit they're in now. The reason why they're in the spirit is because everything is still up and functioning. You can still go to work. You can still, talk to multiple niggas online and just basically be a hoe, with no repercussions. But the times we're coming into, it's going to be complete chaos and lawlessness. And, you're going to have a bunch of thirsty-ass men that are going to be trying to come ravish women. All right, because ultimately that's prophesied, Women are going to be ravished in the times to come. All right, but this is Isaiah 32 and 9. "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come." These women now, they live in carefree. They act like they shit don't stink. And, they in La La Land ultimately. Because they don't think nothing's gonna happen. They think that this is how it's supposed to be, but this ain't how it's supposed to be. All right. It says, "Trouble ye women that are at ease, be troubled, Ye careless ones strip you and make you bare and gird sackcloth upon your loins. So ultimately, humble yourself. All right. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon the houses of joy in the joyous city. All right. So ultimately, we come into a time where this is about to fail. The vintage shall fail. Let's look up that word vintage. Isaiah 32. The vintage. Let's look at that in Edema. Harvest of grapes, yield of wine from a vineyard, gathering of grapes. All right, and ultimately, this is representing, really like the food supply ultimately, because grapes are it's food. Where you can get wine, so like I'm trying to find the exact wording for it, but it's about to fail. Especially with this whole Strait of Hormuz closing. Like, this shit shut down. They're talking about oil running out next month. So when these suppliers can't go to the store, the distribution and all that is messed up, and food ain't coming in no more. What's gonna happen? That's ultimately why people are comfortable now, is because they can go to a grocery store, do what they want to do, and call it a day. But we come to a time where these shelves are about to be empty. These jobs about to be cut, and it's gonna be complete lawlessness out here. And if you don't have a man of the Lord, you're through. All right, as a woman. But let me get the chat. GMS, Isaiah 32 and 9. Let me see what it says. From a GMS perspective, this verse is commonly interpreted spiritually rather than being directed only at literal women. The women are at ease, represent people of Babylon who are comfortable in Babylon. And, it really goes for women too. It's twofold. Because ultimately, these men out here are comfortable too. All right? It says the phrase careless daughters refers to Israelites who feel secure and unconcerned about the coming judgment. All right? And that's really women, because if women cared, they would hearken and change. All right? As well as men too. But for the most part, it's going to be a lot of women that are going to be judged. All right? And Isaiah 32, Ezekiel 9 and 4, set a mark upon those that cry and that sigh, all the abominations that be done in the midst of, slay utterly old, young, woman, maids, and mind you, maids, woman, that's maids are women, maids are young women, all right, and you got women. So a lot of judgment come down to these women, because, look how, well, really, Salaki, I'm all over the place, but a lot of these women they through. Like, and don't get me wrong, these men are through too. But like, women they don't know how to listen. They can't take instruction. All right. Humility is not in their nature now, no more. Which that's ultimately a woman's that's what she was created for, to be humble. All right. But we live in society where being proud to be an American, so on and so forth. Live the American lifestyle, all right? But people are people going to understand that this shit's going, it's really going to fuck you up at the end of the day, because there's a judgment to it, all right? It says Isaiah is giving a warning to wake up from spiritual complacency and prepare. Okay. GMS teachings in following verses 10 through 14, it says, the vintage shall fail, economic collapse. All right, beautifully said. But when the economy's through, bro, this shit, it's not gonna be cookies and cream. Like, it's gonna get ugly out here. It says social upheaval, the downfall of Babylon the Great, identified by GMS as America, the need for repentance before judgment arrives. All right. It says so the GMS summary of Isaiah 32:9. Okay, never mind. But Salakia. But that's why Isaiah 4:1 is gonna come and play, because when this economy fails, this shit collapse, and people get awakened out of La La Land with these judgments. Then women are gonna want to cleave to those who have the power. All right, and those that have the power are gonna be the men of the Lord. The Lord is gonna be known that the Lord is dealing with these men. All right, because ultimately the Lord is bringing the judgment. All right, and He's bringing deliverance. And people won't see that. Isaiah 4:1, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. In that day shall the branch of the Lord be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. All right, and it's gonna, Isaiah 4:1 is only gonna be for the men of the Lord. All right, now. To prove that, let's get Isaiah 13:12, because ultimately, like I said, women, they gonna see where the power is coming from. They gonna see who's precious. They gonna see, who's standing 10 toes in that day. All right. Isaiah 13:12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. All right, and that's you brothers, the hopeful elect. All right. I'm going to Isaiah 3 and 25. All right, because mind you, World War III is coming too. All right, you're gonna have that draft, and a lot of men are gonna be sent out to war. All right, it says Isaiah 3:25, thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. All right, so a lot of these men gonna die off. So if you got some women out there that whose men don't believe in the Lord. They ain't part of the elect. They gonna die off, and if that woman's part of the elect, she gonna get paired with the men of the Lord. All right, taking account of what's his name? It's in Chronicles or Samuel. King David and that one woman. Basically, that one dude, he was wicked, and the Lord smote him. And that woman became King David's wife. If you brothers know what I'm talking about, you can put it in the comments. All right. Just had a total brain fart about the name. But this is Isaiah 32:2, because they're going to be cleaving, backing up about, I'm saying 10. Slacky. Woman going to be cleaving. All right. Isaiah 32:2. The man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. All right, so it's gonna be. Imagine it's hot as hell outside. You see this rock giving complete shade, that shade that you need. All right, you gonna be running to that shade. You're not just gonna walk. You gonna sprint your ass to the shade. All right, or rivers of water in a dry place. You thirsty as hell. You dehydrated. You about to pass out. You see some water, in the distance, and you gonna run to that water. All right. I know. I'm pretty sure bros have seen that clip of I believe the Beatles. I know Elder Apostle Gabar, he brings that up. The Beatles was all over these dudes. All right, and mind you, it wasn't about looks. It wasn't about how attractive you are, how much muscle you had, this, that, and third. Them niggas, they was talented. Their name was popping. They had that status. All right, that's what, and that goes to show you the nature of women, the hypergamous. All right, and the Lord, He's about to uplift, bros. All right, let's go to Zephaniah 3:19. It says, "Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halted, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they've been put to shame." All right, so ultimately, we've been put to shame. All right, but the Lord, He's turning that back. We about to be praised on the earth once again. All right, and in due time. All right, because that power is coming. All right, we already got the power now, but wait till it fully, manifest itself. All right. So, yeah, hopefully, with this lesson is, was well said and edifying. These women gonna be cleaving real soon. All right, so to hell with these proud bitches now. All right, these women proud as hell, but one of my favorite scriptures. Let's get that right quick. Isaiah 29, 26 and 9. Because really, what humbles people is judgment. All right, Isaiah 26 and 9, it says, with my soul have I desired thee in the night, yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. All right, the elect, it says, for when thy judgments are on the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. So people will want to get right. People are going to want to, a woman specifically, because they're going to be saved through childbearing, pursuing Timothy. But women, they're going to be cleaving, because all hell breaking loose. These niggas, the Lord ain't with them, all right? They ain't gonna be protected. They ain't gonna be taken care of. But the men of the Lord will. All right, and that's what we're striving to be. Lord willing. We part of the elect. But with that, like I said, hopefully it's well said and edifying. I want to give all praise and glory on it to Yahweh, Ba'ashem outside, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Next time, shalom.